Hello, lovely people. Welcome to a pinch session focused all on the service-based industries that we love. Thank you all so far for joining. See about 7 you in the chat at the moment, which is fantastic. We will just wait a little bit to get some more people into the session. And then once they're in the session, we will get started. Asiraf, thanks for jumping in. I will go through some of the etiquette stuff and things about engagement and chatting in the chat. Let me just mute my phone here so no one interrupts me. We have some really cool content to cover today in this hour. Hopefully we don't take the full hour, but you never know. We will have questions that you'll be able to ask, and there'll be some engagement happening. Let me just prep a couple things here. All right, we're starting to fill up. Hi, Mindy. Hi, Tim. Thanks for jumping on. For any of you that haven't joined us for one of these sessions before, they're sort of a two-part session. The first part is a little bit more of the thought leadership, the sort of why, not necessarily the how, on why you should be doing things and looking to make changes in your business and using Pinch to actually enable a lot of the improvements and growth within your business. And then the second part will be a bit of a screen share going through showing you how to do those various things. Yes, Irene, always is. I run these sessions quite frequently. I am also hoping to ramp up the number of sessions that we will be running here at Pinch Payments to effectively weekly. And we're going to be doing a little bit more of a each week alternating will be a thought-based one and then a practical one, back and forth, to hopefully arm you with all the understanding of the how and the why of Pinch Payments in your business. So now that we're all here, or a fair few of us are here, this is what we're covering today, right? So this session is all about collecting payments faster with on-site pre-approvals and saved payment details. So this is really targeted at the service-based industries that Pinch supports really, really well with our feature set. So that's things like, as you can see on the screen, home gardening services, pool servicing, and the home services industry. We already have a lot of these types of businesses using Pinch Payments to great effect, but we want to make sure that if you are any type of service-based industry, that you do get value from the session and understand that Pinch Payments can be a really, really powerful tool in your arsenal to ensure that you get paid for the work that you do. So let's kick off here. Let's just make sure that those slides can indeed be seen. So look, some etiquette stuff. Feel free to use the chat. Obviously, if a few of you have already found the chat and are chatting away with me in the chat already, it's a great spot to get some questions answered. So if I don't see your question immediately or have an opportunity to answer it straight away, I will do periodic checks of the chat to make sure that your questions are getting answered. Worst case scenario, at the end of the session, I'm going to look all the way back through the chat and make sure I reply to you. Or worst case scenario, I'll reach out to you after the session if I didn't get a chance to reply to you and you see it, if you did leave the chat early. For any of you that are here and you've got other team members that want to watch this session back but aren't available, as long as they register for the session, even if they register afterwards, they will be able to access the recording of this session and you will be able to share it to people as well. So try and make it as available as possible for you. Cool. All right, look, let's chat about what we're going to cover today. So we're going to talk a bit high level to start with about the true cost of delayed payments and how shifting to a payment first model will really help your business. I'm then going to show you a real world example and a little bit of data that shows how effective this strategy can be, as well as how you can implement this across your entire, technical stack. And then at the end, we'll sort of deep dive into a Q&A and next steps of, if you're not currently a Pinch merchant, how you can register, or if you are a Pinch merchant, making sure that you've got all your questions answered and you understand how you can take these practical examples and apply them to your own business. So that's what we're here to do today. So for everyone in the chat, I'll just do a final check to make sure that everyone can hear me. So if I can get some thumbs up on my little message there into the chat. It's the Cameron Taylor message. If I could get some thumbs up on that, just to make sure that everyone can hear me nicely before I get deep and rolling in. Cool. All righty. Let's get ourselves started. So I want to ask you a really simple question to start with, right? Does this process currently sound very familiar with you, right? Because it is unfortunately a very common process here in Australia. It's the quote job, do the work, you send the invoice, and then you get stuck here at the final fourth component, which is the waiting for payment component. And this is the part that really hurts, is after you've done that, not only do they probably not pay you for the work you've done, but you've now got to start spending resources to follow them up. And as the slide suggests, this can be again and again and again. And you repeat this process over and over and over with almost all of or a large portion of your clients just to get paid for the work that you did 2 months ago, right? Let's be real. That's not okay. There should be no paradigm in which you operate a business where you settle for that and you think that that's okay to do, right? You are providing a service, and I would hope for all of you present here today, that's a good service that you're providing your customers. They should be respecting that and paying you on time, right? And if they're not, you should start using tools like pinch payments to drastically increase the likelihood that you do start getting paid on time for the work that you do. I do way too many of these sort of sessions one-on-one with merchants where I see, I load up their account and oh my goodness, there's $500,000 sitting there in outstandings. And they're maybe a 4 or 5 person team. And I'm sitting there going, 4 or 5 person, like that's basically the whole company's salaries for the year sitting there in unpaid invoicing, right? And I just don't think that's okay. And pinch payments was built to fix that problem. So that's what we're all going to be talking about today. So let's talk about the payment first approach, right? So shifting from the model that you've just seen to this model here, which is you quote, you take a first payment and you save their details at the same time, right? So that you can then have all of their future invoices already approved to be debited and automatically debited without you or your client needing to raise a further finger, right? What this is going to do is going to ensure that regardless of how you invoice, you are going to get paid on the due date or before the due date, unless someone doesn't have money in their account, right? Which is far less likely than in issuing them their invoice and doing the old fingers crossed, hope they pay me. Guess I'll spend, a staff member's afternoon chasing up all my customers 3 or 4 times, a week, trying to get them to pay me. That's not okay, right? So let's try and stop the chasing. Let's remove awkward conversations, especially between you and your client or your client to you, either way. And let's remove the admin lag of actually having to do the manual reconciliation if they do eventually pay you 2 months down the line, right? So that's what we're all about. So before I do my screen share, I'm just going to show you a little bit of data here. This is a real world example of a pinch merchant that currently uses pinch, right? When they first came to it, and this is someone in the service-based industry, right? I won't specify what type of service-based industry, but it is one of those 3 on my very first slide, right? When they first came to us, they had $43,000 in outstandings, and they were a very small team, right? Their average invoice paid time was 48 days after the due date of the invoice is when they would get paid, right? You can see here on the screen, I've literally got their overall data of like how many payments and what type of payments they take within Pinch. You can see here that they started pretty strong off the bat, to be honest, in August of 2022. But most of their payments are coming through on this pink color, which is merchant initiated. Payer initiated. This is You issue your invoice out to your client and they pay you via the link on the invoice, right? Now, they got a reasonable uptake on that. You can see that's about half their payments were coming through that way, better than nothing. But this business has effectively done a very similar number of invoices over this initial period of time. And what you can see there is that very rapidly, they started to push into the blue payment type. And for all of you out there, blue is king. Blue is pre-approvals. Blue is getting your client's payment details up front, or like storing them at the same time as you take payment. And you can see here how rapidly this business moved towards blue and black payments. Now, black payment types are merchant initiated, so that's where you have the pre-approval and you are the one that is manually triggering the payment attempt. So it's a hybrid method. It's not fully automated, but it's still using the same pre-approval, the same payment capture to facilitate that. And you can see that this business very quickly shifted into blue, 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 all automation. And you can see how sharp that bar graph, climbs, and the number of invoices that this business is able to get paid as a collective of all the invoices that they issue, to the point where, and you can see it on the slide here on the left, current overdue in this merchant's account, like I'm talking literally, I put this in the slide today, is only $3,200. And all $3,200 of that is already scheduled for automated debit and just hasn't debited yet, which is why it still reports as overdue, because it's not come out yet, right? And their average invoice paid date is now 6 days, because they do 5-day terms. So on average, everything gets paid on the date, or maybe a couple dishonor and get repeated. So they have cut down almost about $40,000 of average outstandings, and they have trimmed 42 days off the average that it takes them to get their invoice paid, right? That is revolutionary for this business, right? Because this business now can invoice with relative certainty that they are going to get paid and they are going to get paid on time, which allows them to forecast their growth of their business, resource accordingly, and actually grow, right? Joe, our head of growth, partner manager, head of customer success here, my boss, does a lot of conversations with businesses about this as well. Xero launched some really interesting data at the end of last year that shows that businesses that get paid late grow on average 3 times slower comparative to businesses that get paid on time, right? So for all of you out there in this session today, if you are going to take one thing from this session, it is that if you are still allowing your customers to pay you late, you are growing on average 3 times slower than a competitor who is not doing that, right? So I implore you to listen now to this next section where I show you how to do pre-approvals and merchant initiated payments and pre-approvals, so that you can ensure that whether you have an accounts team or you have on-site tech, so that might be yourself, you might go out to site and do servicing or whatever it is, pool maintenance, garden maintenance for your business, but the rest of you and your team, to ensure that you are doing everything that you possibly can in your business to gather a pre-approval the first time that you have the opportunity to, because that really is the secret sauce to growth. And you can see it here on this graph, right? Massive increase, huge amount of automation. Talking more at a personal level, I know that the owner of this business is pretty much hands off the tools now, because they don't need to anymore, because they've got the cash consistently flowing in, right? They're sipping mimosas, they're having holidays, they're relaxing. They've been able to build the business up to a point now where they can actually reap the benefits and the reward of having put all that hard work in. So I would love all of you to get to that point. All right, let's see it in action. So I'm going to share my screen now. I'm going to walk through one of our testing accounts, and I am going to show you how you can actually do these things yourself. Alrighty, could I get a thumbs up or a bit of a confirmation in chat that you guys can all see my Pinch webinar and training account screen? Yeah, margin. Excellent. Thank you, margin. Alrighty. So this is a pinch account. I'm going to show you two really important things. The first is I am going to show you how, and these are very specific flows, right? How you can gather a payment method and take a payment at the same time when you are attending site or you are face-to-face with one of your clients, right? Because we all know this is going to be one of the best ways that you can actually convince someone to sign up to a pre-approval to be automatically debited is literally while you have them face-to-face. You have the opportunity to talk to them, get them to understand why you're choosing to take payment this way, and it is always the best method. So the way to go about doing that is step one, right? You attend site, you do the service, you generate the quote, you chat to the customer about it, and you both agree that that quote is fair and reasonable and that they want to pay you for that right now, right? Generate your invoice, step one. It will sync automatically over to Pinch. So we go and find that invoice in Pinch. And what I'll do is I will create this I will create myself an invoice for a lovely Sam Smith record. Now, ideally, and in most cases, you should really be raising this invoice in your accounting system. However, if you are a service-based industry that has technicians or on-site staff that you don't necessarily want to have access to your accounting software, you can create payments from within Pinch, which will create a corresponding invoice in your systems. So what I'll do is I'll use that flow, but in the event that you do allow your on-site team to have access to your accounting system or any third-party systems that are also pushing the invoices into the accounting system and subsequently Pinch, they can do that in that system. That's perfectly fine. But what I'm going to do is I'm now going to be on site with my customer, and I've loaded up Pinch payments on my iPad, on my laptop, on my phone, whatever it is that I'm using to do this. And I'm going to create a payment for Sam Smith, right? So I'm on site today. So I'm going to leave the invoice data today. It's a sales invoice on my standard template. And I've quoted Sam $480, including GST, to, I don't know, paint some of his walls. I don't know, right? Something. Maybe repair a broken pump on his pool. So we'll call this pool serve 10675, right? This is the invoice. All I need to do is click add payment, and that is going to generate this payment, which is going to sync across into your accounting system as an invoice. And if I want to take payment for this invoice with my customer right now, all I need to do is click this button here, Launch Pay Now page. I click this page, and it's going to open up the invoice payment page for this page. Now, for any of you people who do maybe already have a Pinch account, you'll know that this is the same payment page that your customers get linked to if you've issued the invoice to them digitally online and they are the one looking to pay you, right? However, in Pinch, we also allow you to open this up from the page here. You can see the information about the invoice, be it very rudimentary because I've obviously created it from within Pinch instead of the accounting system. But the main features that you need to know about here, well, there is really three, but I'll show you two for now, is your client or you can literally hand the iPad or the laptop over to your customer and say, how would you like to pay me? We can take payment right now, right? You can also surcharge the payment type if you want, so you can pass on the processing fee to your customer. So this particular example, the card option, so credit or debit card, does have a processing fee that will be surcharged to the customer, but the bank account option, which is a direct debit, will be free for the customer, which means you pay the fee on their behalf, right? So let's say, for example, the customer wants to pay you with a credit card or a debit card. They select from this option, and they will see now the card capture details. You'll also see up here, and here, we make the new balance of that payment obvious, right? Because you're, again, in the context of either on the phone or face-to-face with this customer. They can key in their payment information. So I'm going to do my testing card here. Right, or maybe I'll call this Sam Smith card test, right? So this is the name of my card. And if I wanted to just process the payment right now with the card, or start the direct debit process if I'd chosen bank account, I can do that by clicking this green button, right? And that will take, in the context of a card, that will take a real-time payment, and it'll either work or it'll fail straight away. And you'll know that, right? On site, you'll know that, oh, hey, sorry, Sam, that actually had said insufficient funds, right? Can you try again? Or, oh, it worked. Awesome. You've paid me my invoice. I'll be here tomorrow, or I'll be here next week, or I've already done the job, right? However, the second feature that I want to show you, and this is the really, really powerful one, is not only can you take a payment right here from this page, but with this option here, this little checkbox, which is a feature that you can enable, and you can choose whether or not you want to enable it, but I always recommend you would enable it, is at the same time that you are processing this payment for Sam Smith. Let me just make this actually not silly. Is you can actually enroll this customer into a pinch pre-approval at the exact same time. So not only are you taking the payment and getting your invoice paid right now, but you are laying the foundation for this payer to pay you on time for the next invoice that you create, right? So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to pay this invoice as Sam, and I'm also going to enroll into a pinch pre-approval. So I'm going to click make payment. Right, in this case, it's an American Express, so there's an additional surcharge. Oh, I don't have a valid email address for this payer record. That's a bit of a silly oversight, isn't it? Because I'm paying with an Amex. Let me just, oh, it's got to be a valid email address. Of course. Well, that's unfortunate. I'm not going to be able to show you that right this second. However, what it will have done is it will have made a payment, right? So the payment will process and it will work, and it will also set the customer up on the pre-approval, right? Which is your way of automatically debiting your client for their future invoices. So once the invoice is paid, you'll also have a pre-approval for that customer, which means the next time that you create an invoice for them, let's say a month later, they need some more work off you, and you create an invoice and you do an $800 service for them, this invoice will be automatically scheduled for debit on the due date, right? So you can see here that we've taken a payment previously. We've now created a new invoice, but we've already saved their payment method from the last time that we did business with them. That way, we as a business know that on the 30th of the 5th, this system is going to come along and attempt to debit this client automatically for you without you needing to ask the client or without you having to do any manual steps. And this alone, this is the #1 feature that you as a service-based industry can take advantage of so that you aren't just leaving site hoping that you're going to get paid on time. You can take a payment for that service right then and there, or you can gather the pre-approval as part of that whole process to ensure that not only you get the payment now, but you're more likely to get the payments in the future, right? This is the secret sauce. Let me just answer Irene's question here. Irene, I think I missed the start of where you generate the invoice in Pinch. Do we need to have the customer set up in Xero or Pinch first? Irene, ideally, the specific process that I was showing there was in the context of a customer that already exists, and you can choose whether or not you want to still have your team generate the invoice in your accounting system and let it sync over to Pinch automatically, which will happen like within, 2 minutes, like it'll be there pretty quickly. Or you can, if you don't have any really technical requirements of your actual invoicing, like you don't need high levels of detail within your invoice, you can generate this invoice from within Pinch by clicking the Add Payment button. But it does really just depend on the context, right? So say, for example, you're a pool service company that also uses like a pool management software like Pool Tracker or something like that, that does all your complex pool specific invoicing information. You're probably going to generate your invoice in that system. It's going to sync to Pinch, and then it's sync to Xero, and then it's going to sync to Pinch, and you're going to open it up from within Pinch to take the payment, right? Alternatively, you might just be using Xero and Pinch. So you might just create your invoice in Xero, let it sync to Pinch, and then open up and take the payment from within Pinch. Nice. 3. If, say, instead of one-off payment, we add the customer into a subscription, does enrolling a customer's credit card for pre-approval matter? It does, because what you can do, Sri, is you can actually enroll the client on their behalf into whatever payment plans you need using the pre-approval payment method that they have given you previously. So in that specific context, what I'll do is I'll actually show you the next way of gathering pre-approvals that I need you all to know about, which is how do I just set someone up on pre-approval while I'm face-to-face with them without taking a payment right then and there, right? So the way to go about doing that is you create a contact, or you go and find your existing contact in Pinch, right? Let's grab Garrison here. And all you need to do is click into their record, head to this section here called the pre-approval page, and open it up. And this opens up this customer's unique pre-approval sign-up page, right? So this is literally the proper pre-approval enrollment page where you can include custom text or a terms and conditions document if you need them to agree to anything extra, right? And you can, while face-to-face with them or over the phone, enroll them into just a pre-approval. It's that simple, right? You fill this out with the customer, bank account or card, confirm the agreement. They will receive a confirmation of this, which they can, follow to update their information or cancel in the event that they need to. But it will then activate the pre-approval for this customer. So you'll have a pre-approval. And let's see if I can actually set this up in the context of just a pre-approval. Smith Street, I'll just say Brisbane because that's where I am. Postcode 4000, yep. And we'll put in one of our testing cards. All right, so I'm going to set up a pre-approval for this customer. Beauty. And you can see now that within 2 seconds, I've now set up Whitfield on a Pinch pre-approval so that the next time I go and invoice them, or now when I go and invoice them, they're already on pre-approval, ready to go. In relation to your specific question, Sri, what you can do then is, because you've already got the payment method enrolled, if we have an invoice for this client, and let's imagine that this invoice just came from Xero and it's for a service that you've agreed with them to put onto a payment plan. All right, let's just do a nice simple one. You already have the payment method there loaded so that you can just come straight in here and go, awesome. I'm going to get this to be paid off in 8 weekly payments. I would like that to start on, maybe you've agreed with them to start it on the 1st of next month. Bang. It's just going to use the pre-approval payment method that we already have, and it's going to straight away activate it. And come the 1st of next month, the first payment's going to be debited off the card that they've given you on pre-approval. So hopefully that explains that specific scenario for you. So short answer, Sri, yes, if you can get a pre-approval, you always want a pre-approval. If you can't get the pre-approval, you can still invite them to the payment plan like I just showed you. But instead of being able to select a date, it is going to email them out a subscription activation request, which they have to put the payment details into. Sweet. All righty. Let me answer Irene's question before we move on. Got any tips on how to activate this over the phone or email? We usually send an email with a link to Stripe or share the Stripe link. Looks like we can do the same via Pinch. 100% you can, exactly. So you can do a couple things, Irene. So in the context of an invoice, if you want to do payments over the phone. I've shown you that flow. However, if they're not comfortable doing the payment with the payment over the phone with you right then and there, you can either issue them the invoice, which if you are connected to Xero, we embed ourselves on the template and the link gets automatically added to your invoice issued and PDF of the invoice for them to make a payment. If you're on QuickBooks or MyOb, you do need to configure a little custom link to put into your invoice issued, but the same applies, right? Or you can jump into your invoice, copy the payment page and email it to them right there while you've got them on the phone, or open it up and try and get the payment over the phone straight away, right? Mindy has a question. Am I right in thinking that if a customer already has an invoice in there and now we are signing them up to auto payment, it will process those old account or only invoices moving forward? Only, yeah, Irene's answered that one for you. It's only from invoices that are due from or in the future of when you get the pre-approval. However, I'll show you another great little feature. If you have a customer that had, let's say, 10 outstanding invoices previously, yep, this is a good example. So you can see Abbott Sylvia here has a pre-approval. They have invoices and a payment plan all scheduled to be automatically debited. But you can see down here in the outstanding payments that they have 7 outstanding payments. Because we have the pre-approval for them and they've pre-authorized us to use it, you do actually have the ability to process these outstanding payments via Pinch. So you can actually, if you need to, process them out. Process those older invoices using the payment method they gave you. However, some common sense stuff applies here. Don't just go and debit your client for all their old invoices. It'll just get you in a lot of trouble, and I'm sure it'll upset them pretty badly. You probably want to give them a ring, right, and say, hey, I've got these 7 invoices here for a total of $4,200, so that we can get your account up to date and in line. Are you happy if I debit those for you today or maybe tomorrow, whatever it is? If they say yes to that, bang, go ahead, process those payments, right? It's really simple to do these little actions inside a Pinch, all with the idea of getting you paid, right? You see that those payments have all been successful now, and Abbott Sylvia is completely up to date with all their payments, like that, bang, up to date. So that's another powerful little tool that you can use. Hopefully that answers that. Thank you, Irene, for answering Mindy as well. Sweet. So they're the main things that I wanted to show you, right? So it's taking a payment while you're on site and also having it turned into a pre-approval. So it's kind of 2 things, right? Just taking a payment while on the phone or on site. An extension of that is also being able to gather a pre-approval at the same time. But then the final one is, how do you just send someone or set someone up on pre-approval, right? There's a lot of businesses out there that use Pinch that do like a free first service, right? So instead of going to the site and needing to take a payment, you'd be going to site, doing your first service. If the client is happy with your service, instead of getting them to pay for something, you just get them to set up the pre-approval, right? So you go and find or create the customer, invite them to a pre-approval by getting them to fill out, not a good example, getting them to fill out the pre-approval with you while you've got them face-to-face, right? Fill this out with them. If they're happy with your service, activate it, bang. You've now got a payment method that you can reliably attempt to debit, which is going to drastically increase the chances of you getting paid on time. Yeah, look, Irene, it's definitely something that is just a reality of doing business. For whatever odd reason here in Australia, people just don't like paying people on time, which is just crazy. But ultimately, you know, they owe you money, and the easier that you can make it for them to not forget that and pay you on time does also help them in the long run. Recommendations that we always give here, and it's less about telling you how to run your business, it's just a little bit of common sense stuff to protect you from vulnerability, is if someone owes you more than a month of outdated invoicing, you probably need to have a conversation with them about putting them onto pre-approvals so that you can stop that becoming a worse problem. Or you need to have a conversation with them about paying their invoices up to at least that period of time to ensure you don't get into a really bad business behavior of allowing someone to constantly have months and months and months of accrued invoices and they just kind of pay you when they feel like. Because ultimately, if they go bust, it's you're the one that suffers. You know, it sucks for them that they weren't able to run their business in a manner that meant that they could stay afloat, but that isn't your problem, right? Because ultimately it affects you, and that's what we're all here for, right? Like, I want to ensure that by using Pinch, you are in the best possible business position to grow your business, not just survive. Right? We're not here to give you tools to just keep your business above water. We're here so that you're floating on a cruise ship, right? And you're drinking mimosas in the afternoon. So that's what we're here for. We're trying to give you those tools to make sure that you get paid on time. So if possible and where possible, push for a pre-approval, push for automation to ensure that you get paid on time. Cool. All right, let me just bring this off the screen now and go back to here. Siri, I get my clients to sign an agreement. I email it to them currently. I learned there's a feature where you can send the agreement via Pinch and the customer can sign the agreement and provide pre-approval. If you have time, can you please show this, please? So 3, what that is specifically is 2 different things. Option 1 is if you are currently using like, you know, DocuSign, or you're just emailing like a raw contract to people. What you should be doing in that case there is you should be copying that customer's pre-approval sign-up link. Let me put it back up on screen. So you would go and find your customer, you would copy their pre-approval sign-up and you would paste it or put it into your contract and obviously draw attention to it inside of the contract. Hi, Joseph Green, please follow the below form to set up your automated payment arrangement, which is a requirement of our contract. We won't conduct service until we see an active pre-approval, right? So that's option 1. Option 2 is we do have a partner in the e-signatures and contract space called Anature. They're an Australian company. They do actually have a Pinch integration, which allows you to add a payment capture widget directly into your contract proposal and make it a mandatory field of your contract, right? So you can actually enroll someone into your contract and have them agree to all your T's and C's and capture a card or a bank account, all part of the one document, and it will flow automatically over to Pinch and you will have a pre-approval for that customer in Pinch. Ying, what is the app name on iPhone store? We don't have an app. This is a web app. So you sign up to Pinch Payments by just Googling Pinch Payments or finding us on either the Xero Marketplace store or QuickBooks web app store. From here, all you need to do is jump into our website and hit this button up here that says try free. This will take you to our registration page where you will be able to register your Pinch account and you do all of the app related stuff from within the web app, which is what I'm showing here. Yeah, so no specific downloadable app at this stage. Some clients prefer credit card payments or direct debits. Can we itemize that for each customer? I'm not sure what you mean, Erin. Could you, I'm just going to put a little fire emoji on this question. Could you please elaborate on that for me so I can answer that question for you? Awesome. All right, well, look, hopefully I'm answering everyone's questions with this so far, so that's good. I'm just going to jump back to my slides here. So before we move on to our, sort of Q&A and, fielding any additional questions, I'm just going to sort of reiterate the value props of adopting those processes that I've shown you, right? So where does these processes help your organization, right? So the first is text, right? Your actual on-site text, which might be you, might be your staff members. it enables them and empowers them to be doing things that are directly impacting your ability to grow, right? So you might even tie a KPI metric to that, right? Like how many pre-approvals each tech has managed to gather when they're visiting site, if you're not going to mandate it. And that could be something that you use to try and drive growth in your business to ensure that you're getting paid. So it helps the techs. It massively helps your admin team, because instead of spending all that resource chasing people, you now have payment methods that you can reliably attempt to charge straight from, you know, pure automation all the way through down to manual. It helps the owners of the business, because now all of a sudden their business is, well, you know, has gone from chasing and spending and indexing resources into just chasing up the payments that you should already just be getting paid on time, into getting them paid on time, so the owners can now make moves and make strategies within the company to actually push for and achieve growth in the organization. And it also helps the clients, right? Because it's a smooth one singular time setup, so that they can have all of their payments manually, hybrid, or automatically debited from their account, so that they can actually get their service delivered by you, because they're paying their bills on time and no one's forgetting about anything, which is fantastic. So that's really where it helps everyone. So if you've learned anything there, apply it to these areas, right? These 4 areas within the business: your staff, your admin staff, the actual organizational, maybe C-suite or owner level of the business, and the payers, your customers, are going to get a benefit from this as well. Cool. All right, well, look, that's really all the content and all the key features that I really wanted to highlight for you that you should be using in the service-based industries. What we'll do now is I'll sit for a little while here and I'll answer any questions that you might have. Say, for example, Erin, if you could elaborate on that question that you have for me. And if you have any other things that might not be directly relevant to what I've showed you, or a couple of other questions or things that you'd like to show me within the system, I can do that now for you as well. But look, otherwise, if you are watching this session back, that is all the main content that we're covering today. So thank you for joining us live, and thank you for watching back the session. I hope you got a lot of value out of it. We will be doing these key industry spotlight sessions from now on, and looking to showcase certain features that help certain industries really get the best out of pinch payments. So thank you all for joining. All right, I got a couple questions here to answer. In the past, where a customer have few rejected payment, do they get a notification before charges being made? We don't at this stage do pre-debit notifications, but we do post-debit notifications. So either if they're successful, or if they're processing, or if they fail. As for us, it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, because if you alert customers too early or too frequently about their debits, what can actually happen is that they choose not to be debited by you, right? They either ask you to cancel the payment, or they move money out of their account, and they can sometimes do not very nice things. So there's a little bit of a double-edged sword there about, alerting too much, alerting not enough. At the moment, we are looking at ways that we can do and deliver pre-debit notifications without it impacting the likelihood of you getting the person, having money on their account or bank. So we're exploring some options there to try and make sure that the payer experience is really, really good, to ensure that you, the merchant, have a good experience with offering those pre-debit notifications. So it's very much on our roadmap. So expect some sort of, feature update in the future for pre-debit notifications. Erin, does Pinch show each customer in how they are paying us? Okay, so I think what you're asking for there, Erin, and again, I will share my screen, is can you show certain customers only one or both, or options when paying you? You can see here, I've got this payer record up here, Joseph Green. So if I was to open up one of Joseph's invoices right now, just been logged out. That's always fun. Let me just take that off stream for a second while I log myself back in. I'm back. So we'll go back to Green. So Joseph Green here has these payment options currently available to him. So that's direct debit and credit cards or credit debit cards. So at the moment, you as the business are choosing to offer both payment types to this customer, which means when let's get rid of those. When I have the payment link sent to him or I'm opening this, you can see that both options are currently available for this payer. However, if I chose to disable, say, credit cards just entirely, so I don't want Joseph paying via a credit card, I can do that, and we remove the credit card option from the page. And this behavior is the same throughout the account. So if you're disabling specific types of payment options for a client, we won't show it to them on the payment page, we won't show it to them on the pre-approval page, and we won't show it to them on subscription enrollment pages, because you've just chosen not to offer them that option at all. So hopefully that answers your question. You can also make these changes on a whole account level by heading to your account settings and determining your default getting paid settings. So that's whether or not you accept cards and banks across the entire account, as well as your surcharge settings. But you also can do these changes at a per customer level. And you can decide whether or not you surcharge or not offer certain payment sources to specific customers based on whatever the business need is that you have for that. Hopefully that answers your question. For anyone else who's left the session already, thank you all for attending. I can see a few thanks and things in here. So thank you all for coming. Really appreciate your attendance. I'll keep moving on and answering some more questions. If a scheduled payment has failed due to insufficient funds, how does Pinch remind the customer of the overdue failed payment? Great question. So we do something called reattempts. So over here in your account settings under the reattempts feature, you can configure a reattempt policy. If you have enabled a reattempt policy, we send an email to clients when a payment fails, alerting them to how many days later we are going to reattempt the next payment. So we do that automatically for you, and that will automatically be rescheduled for payment again. So it will be a failed payment, and then it will move back into the scheduled payments as we schedule our reattempt. And that happens as many times as that you configure, right? You can also manually reattempt payments by heading to the failed payments section and manually attempting additional times if you need to, or ahead of the standard schedule. It's up to you. Let me just jump back in here. Hopefully that answers your question, Sri. Tim had a question up here. No, I guess if an invoice has a due date in future, that becomes a pre-debit warning. Somewhat, yeah. Like if you've got a customer that's set up on automated payments and you still issue them the invoice, we actually don't allow them to make a payment because it's already scheduled for pre-approval. Let me see if I can find an example. Yeah, so you can see here that we've got this invoice that's due $800 due on the 30th. If you issued this invoice 401 to your customer now from your accounting software and they opened up the link intending to pay you, we actually show them that the payment is already scheduled for automated debit, right? And that it's going to happen on this date for this amount. So we do alert people to all this information. Three, can overdue notifications be sent by SMS to customers? Unfortunately, not at this stage. It is on our roadmap to offer SMS notification services. We're just currently tossing up a few different ways that we could go about doing that, whether we use an existing provider, whether we allow you to plug in your own SMS provider, or if we build our own. We're just in the early stages of working out which one of that is going to be the most appropriate for Pinch payments going forward. But very much on our roadmap. Alternatively, what you could do is you could copy the payment link and just embed it into an SMS service if you are already using one. So you could copy the link and send a custom SMS with the payment link in the SMS if you wanted to. Cool. Well, look, it looks like a few people are dropping out now, so we'll probably wrap this session up very soon. Do we have any final questions? The difference between failed and outstanding payments. Outstanding payments haven't even been attempted. So let's say, for example, you set up Pinch and you had a whole bunch of invoices that were due last year or something and they're still not paid. Those would be automatically categorized as outstanding because they haven't been attempted and they're currently outstanding still, like they're still due. A failed payment is a payment that may have been outstanding or may have been scheduled that has failed. I just stopped my screen share, but if you are in the payments section of Pinch, under each of the categories, we explain what each of the sections mean and what sort of payments would be eligible. Do you have a library of pro forma agreements? We do not, Tim. We don't get ourselves sort of in the weeds with what agreements you want to send to your clients. It really is up to you how you go about doing that. If you do want a little bit of a sort of hack on that, we do have a ChatGPT enabled bot inside of our actual system. It doesn't look exactly like this, but you could ask it to write you one. It does have access to our whole content library, so it's pretty knowledgeable on pinch payments. And I'm sure it could give you a good start to writing some form of agreement. Cool. All right. Well, look, I think we're going to wrap it up there. Let everyone get off a little bit early. Thank you all for attending. If you do have any other questions that come to mind after the session, or if you're watching the session back from home, not live, definitely reach out to our support team. We've slightly changed our support process, so you'll now find that we request you to submit a support form. That helps us get the most information and ensure that the tickets that we're escalating and raising to our relevant departments, pardon me, have good content in them. Yes, Tim, it is indeed a big old can of worms. Lunch indeed I shall get. Hope everyone also has a fantastic lunch break and a fantastic afternoon and the rest of their week. Thank you all for joining. Look forward to seeing you on the next session.